Meet Joe Calzaghe, one of the most confident boxers that ever graced the boxing ring. He had everything: speed, agility, a flow state type rhythm, and best of all, an entertaining style that fight fans like myself just love to watch.
What a moment for Joe Calzaghe.
Sir Isaac Newton from up above looks down and says about that gravity thing, I was wrong.
Calzaghe was one of the rare boxers of recent times that went his whole career without ever losing a fight. Time after time he entered the ring, slowly improving his competition until he reached the absolute pinnacle of the sport. Welcome back to Greatest Hits, the series where we take an in-depth look at a fighter's career and break it down with some awesome highlights. Today, we'll be focusing our attention on the super middleweight sensation from Newbridge, Wales, Joe Calzaghe.
Backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out.
Calzaghe made his professional debut on October 1st, 1993. Opponent Paul Hanlon was completely overmatched, and Joe quickly dealt with him inside the first round, where the nickname Italian Dragon was born.
Now he's thrown everything. Oh, he's got him again with the right hand. It's the second count of the round. It's a first round win on his debut for Joe Calzaghe.
Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me.
February 14th, 1995. Calzaghe, now 8-0 with 8 KOs, scored a sensational uppercut knockout in round 1 over the experienced journeyman Frank Minton at the York Hall in Bethnal Green.
Blocking and rolling and sniffing, but oh goodness me, that one did not get tremendous lift up. What a shot! He won't get up for that. What a beautiful uppercut! He doesn't know where he is. What a wonderful punch there by Joe.
You think you're special, you do. I can see it in your eyes.
Calzaghe announced himself on the world stage on October 11th, 1997, when he challenged the dynamite-punching former long-reigning champion Chris Eubank. Although Eubank was not quite in his prime anymore, people felt the changing of the guard was not quite at the right time for Calzaghe, but they couldn't have been more wrong. Joe came out at lightning speed and put Eubank down within 15 seconds. He then continued to dominate the opening rounds with a tempo that left the older man looking ancient. Somehow, Eubank's chin holds, but a humiliation seems inevitable at this point.
A good right hand there. Calzaghe's even moving through the shuffles now. He's loving the big stage. Head, body shots.
Joe later admitted the fast start might have been a mistake and a lapse in experience, as he struggled to keep up with the tempo in the mid-rounds. But he kept going at Chris, looking for the knockout at all times, a fighting style that would go on to make him a legend down the line.
What a moment for Joe Calzaghe.
Just one more fight about your leadership.
August 12th, 2000. Calzaghe was making the 6th defense of his WBO super middleweight title when he met American Omar Shika, who was coming off a string of impressive victories over Glenn Johnson and Simon Brown. Calzaghe was now 28-0. Shika proved to be a worthy challenger as they exchanged blows for the first 4 rounds. It would be the 5th where things got really heated when they began to exchange like
He's really going for it now, trying to pin Calzaghe in the corner. But Calzaghe wobbles it with a left hand. Shika comes back. Tremendous action here at Wembley. We wanted a good display from Joe Calzaghe, and this is what it is. Tremendous spirit from Shika, but the left wobbles in, and I think the referee's going to see 2 more of this. And it's been stopped. It's over. What a win for Joe Calzaghe.
Not everyone was thrilled with the stoppage, but I think the fans just wanted to see more of that thrilling action rather than being angry with the ref. June 28th, 2003. Calzaghe took to the ring for what, in my opinion, would be the most exciting fight of his career. Former American WBA world champion Byron Mitchell was hell-bent on becoming the first man to defeat Joe, and after a barn-burning first round, Mitchell put Calzaghe down for the first time in his career.
Good body shots there from the American. And down goes Calzaghe. Caught by one, and that's the first time he's been down in his career.
How Joe reacted to the knockdown is just another notch to the greatness of the Welsh Dragon.
Well, can Calzaghe cope now? These body shots and another left hand. He's staggered under this and he wants to go to war and he gets him with a tremendous left hand. It's a war country. What do you know about this? Calzaghe fires in full. The eyes. Oh, another huge left hand.
Again, and it looks like Mitchell.
Surely can't go on like this. He collapses and he's stopped all over in two dramatic rounds.
I don't know what's right and what's real anymore.
March 4th, 2006, a date I'm sure many die-hard American boxing fans would like to forget. Calzaghe faced the high-flying IBF champion Jeff Lacey, who was being dubbed the next Mike Tyson for the way he was disposing of his opposition. A packed MEN arena had worry right all over their face as the American made his way to the ring with an aura of destruction about him. But to the absolute surprise of many, Calzaghe went out and put on one of, if not the most famous beatdown in all of boxing history.
Middleweight title fight since Roy Jones against James Toney back in 1994. That shook Calzaghe. Just what you expect from Calzaghe. Good headshots. Calzaghe is outboxing Lacey at this stage, but it's a 12-round fight and a little contemptuous smile from Calzaghe as he tags Lacey almost at will.
The opening rounds was just a taste of what was to come. Calzaghe never gave Lacey a chance to breathe, swarming him with an assortment of hard punches with both hands. I remember watching this as a 14-year-old boy, glued to the television like it was the most amazing thing that had ever been aired. I even began to feel sorry for Lacey. He may have been exposed for not having the greatest boxing skills, but you have to applaud the man for his tremendous bravery to hang in.
Yeah, there's been nothing to brought any significant damage by Lacey. Sure, he's forced in the fight, but Calzaghe's just totally dominating and outworking him.
Closing stage for the fourth, and it's another Calzaghe round, and look at this! With no fault of his own, he didn't get the contests against the likes of Roy Jones and Jamal Hopkins, and look at that quality! There must have been about a 7 or 8 punch flurry of blows there.
Shawty's like a melody in my head that I can't keep on, got me singing like
April 7th, 2007. Calzaghe etched his name into the history books by equaling Bernard Hopkins' record of 20 straight world title defenses. He was originally supposed to defend his title against Robert Stiglitz, but he decided to drop the IBF title in order to face Peter Manfredo Jr., due to the fact he had become a huge name after being the star of the ESPN series The Contender. Manfredo was a good boxer, but never came close to putting a dent on Joe throughout the opening rounds, and in round 3, Calzaghe put an unprecedented amount of pressure on the young American to force the stoppage.
Calzaghe switches attacks from head to body. Crowd's loving this one. Manfredo needs to produce more. Calzaghe is throwing punches by the dozen. The referee must stop it. He's not stopping it. He stopped it. He stopped the fight. The Manfredo corner protesting the tail with 2 seconds.
I don't ever wanna feel like I did that day.
7 months later, Joe was back in the ring, this time up against the 39-0 unified super middleweight champion Mikkel Kessler. The Danish fighter, known as the Viking Warrior, was a true testament to the art of pugilism. Great attitude, amazing style, and a true warrior by every sense of the word. Calzaghe was fully aware of the skills Kessler possessed, and the first 4 rounds of the fight were cagey from both men. But as the fight drew on, Calzaghe started to work him out and slowly took him apart with hard shots and a tight defense.
Here comes the welter.
Unlike Lacey, Kessler wasn't exposed for lack of ring IQ. It was just the fact Calzaghe was a better boxer in all areas, and I think it was this night that boxing knew it was going to take something very special to beat him.
Fuck talking, let's take him to war. Drama after drama, city laying on the floor. What the fuck do you take me for?
April 19th, 2008. Calzaghe ventured to the United States for the first time, and what better opponent to take on than Bernard Hopkins? B-Hop was coming off 2 fairly dominant wins over top-draw opponents Antonio Tarver and Ronald Winky Wright. This was a serious test for Joe to see if he could handle the level of skill and ringcraft Hopkins possessed, and in round 1, it looked like this could be a mismatch in the making.
Watch out for headbutts.
4 fights, the opponent wound up with a cut as the result of a butt. Well, Calzaghe, when asked what he would do about Hopkins' supposedly demonstrated penalty strike, goes Calzaghe down on a perfect right-hand shot by Hopkins.
Calzaghe recovered well and came back strong in the opening round, but as the fight went on, it became clear that the style of these two wasn't going to gel. Countless clinches, headbutts, and rabbit punches turned the fight into a pretty scrappy affair. It was by far the hardest and most competitive fight of Joe's career, but he rightfully edged out a split decision and added an all-time great boxer to his resume. At the time, people said Hopkins was over the hill, but just look at how many great wins he went on to have after. Calzaghe's last trip to the ring was on November 8, 2008. By this time, Joe's hands were brittle and broken, and he knew his body was breaking down, so he promised his trainer and family to retire regardless of the outcome. Roy Jones Jr. was no longer the beast from a few years prior, but looked great in his previous outing with Felix Trinidad. I know people in the comments will be saying Joe could never beat a prime version of Roy, and they might be right, but this was a very special night in his career. His last fight, Madison Square Garden on HBO, an undefeated record of 45-0. Boxing entertainment perfection.
This is off the charts again! Astonishing! The placement is emphatic! The power! 1.21 gigawatts under these conditions, are you kidding me? Sir Isaac Newton from up above looks down and says about that gravity thing, I was wrong. In this sort of inspired moment, look at the trajectory, Phil.